Welcome. My name is Amy Jean Nickoloff, and this is episode 6 of Mother's Writ and Wisdom. Today, I want to contemplate how the connected state of our species and diminished individuals, how those two things can interact with one another for good or for evil. Let's start by stepping to an elevated concept that I've not really discussed on the podcast, but I have in several of my publications. I believe we are in a reflection of birth, and as children gestate into their whole mind or promised land, the connectedness to Mother Nature and the oneness makes complete sense. It's like an umbilical cord allowing children to be nursed to their full abilities or full use of their mind. Certainly, as a species, we're not just going to use 20% or 17% of our mind. There's more that we're evolving to. And as we continue to reach new heights of evolution, many are starting over in an effort to push further into their promised land and gain additional insight and abilities. Contemplate these two scriptures. Genesis 24:7. The Lord, the God of heaven, who brought me out of my father's household and my native land, and who spoke to me and promised me an oath, saying, to your offspring I will give this land. Genesis 28:15. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I promised you. So when you look at these two scriptures, it seems that there are some children that are just starting to enter their promised land and evolving, and others that are starting over, have been diminished in order to help raise their children or their branch of the family tree. Now, my concern as a mother is that as the stages of gestation become polarized and some children are more evolved than others, will they behave with kindness and generosity, or will we struggle with naughty or evil spirits in the heavens? This is the danger of being diminished while connected to the oneness. Have you ever done something, then wondered why you did it because it didn't feel like something you would do naturally? And if someone spends their lifetime diminished while connected to the whole, being used as an empty vessel to help raise those in their family tree, how will they ever self-actualize or evolve themselves? I have several theories, as I'm sure you guessed, but the point today is that if one is diminished and connected to the whole, having a great team to support you, people with high integrity, loyal friends that are going to stand by you during this trial period is going to be critical. And this brings me to chapter 10 of The Kingdom Has Arrived, Volume 1, Foundations, Snippets from a Wild Ride, a Prayer, a Poem, a Prophecy. Chapter 10, A Convert. I was blessed when I was born to practicing Lutheran parents, but decided quickly to convert to Catholicism when I agreed to marry a Catholic man I loved, the one that would soon give me the family I desired and a lifetime of joy and wedded bliss. The spirit was eluding me, and my mom was now long gone. She always said I would marry a nice Catholic man and bear 3 sons. This wasn't exactly what I had hoped for. I thought my mom would be present at my wedding and around to fuss over her grandsons. What I planned in my dreams simply was not meant to happen. I was convinced that God was not smiling on me, but instead laughing at the plans I made. That is, after all, how the saying goes, if you want to make God laugh, make a plan. I don't remember much about the conversion classes I was required to attend before my confirmation in the Catholic Church, other than one conversation with a sister named Sheila. I told Sister Sheila that I was nervous about remembering all the Catholic prayers and rules. When do I sit? When do I stand? And when exactly should I kneel? I didn't know much about Mary or the saints. We didn't learn much about the women of the Bible or the saints in the Lutheran Church. Sister Sheila, whom I now call the renegade nun, told me not to worry about the Catholic rules or following along in the book during Mass. Just focus on listening to the words of the scriptures, and the Holy Spirit will move you in the right direction. I guess I seemed nervous about the whole Catholic thing. I took Sister Sheila's advice to heart and became a renegade Catholic myself. I didn't follow the words on the page as they were said. I closed my eyes and listened to what was being said. It was a new experiment to reignite my past failed attempts at finding the Spirit, the Holy Spirit that was touted by Christians around the world, the one that had eluded me since I was a little girl. I was secretly excited about being Catholic. I had always been envious of the tight bond the Catholic kids had with one another and with their faith community that my life lacked. I found the regimen and structure brought focus to my busy, scattered brain. Charles and I were married in St. Peter's Cathedral a year and a half after we met. My dad walked me down the aisle. My mom was not physically present. It was a blessed day, and we had hope for a bright future ahead. So, God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them. And God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." Genesis 1:27 through 28. Chapter 11. Fort Knox. The building of Fort Knox. Our first year of marriage was filled with joy. The confluence of the Salt and Ohio rivers was sure to provide a safe place to hide the bullion of gold from days of old. Charles found a new job out in the suburbs. Relocation foreshadowed the security of isolation. We wallpapered our row home in northeast Philadelphia to prepare it for sale. Rigorous training began to sustain fortification. Wallpapering ended in our first big marriage fight. An arm assist is what I gave to the hanging personnel. Annoyed by my efforts to help, West Point wall now covered in smoke and a mirror, me now sleeping on the couch downstairs, a simple maneuver for misery ventilation. At 4 a.m., the telephone rang, and I rose to hear my sister's voice announcing our father's heart failed at only 52. Pow! It hit me, another bombardment from the God man. Mom and Dad both now gone, my sister and I had suffered much loss. 2 infantries posted by selective service. Numbness set in, and tears no longer fell. The barricade gates created an installation of strength. Father's loss was hard to grasp, since he no longer a part of my day-to-day life, living so far away. Now self-frigid, enclosed in a vault, barred away with agony and heartbreak, moving through my daily motions to endure evolving pain, work, rules, and recreation, and axis to rotate on. I didn't understand the strategy of God's plan: deter, deny, disrupt, degrade, and defeat. 2 sisters left alone, now separated from the family once known. Where were our engineer battalion, armored personnel, and cavalry brigade? Life now cloaked in the mystery of why things happen this way. Walls now secure, serving Fort Knox. We set up a new camp in the suburbs where we could build a family, a mobilization center to ready us to combat attacks. I was done accepting death, sickness, and abandonment in my life. I refused to face the loss and tucked the pain behind my concrete wall, now well on my way to becoming a multifunctional installation of strength, with the bulk of heaven's gold lying squarely in my mind, right behind an enormous emotional blockade. I was determined that change had to happen somehow. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Revelation 21:4. Thank you for joining me today for episode 6 of Mother's Writ and Wisdom.